Well. I don't know. Here we are, another week, another doddle, another something or other. We're here, and this is Metaworld News. This is a
Yay.
program where we bring you news about M words. As
Other
in
M
Metaworld.
words. Right,
Other
right.
M words, yes. The dreaded M word that shall not speak its name anymore. But that basically means the world of virtual worlds, immersive spaces online. An assortment of them. It's just that the umbrella name has sort of got a bit corrupted. Anyway, these headlines that I'm about to give you today are for the week ending the 24th of October 2021. And by absolute magic coincidence, that's the actual day we're filming this. Couldn't be anything else, really, could it? My name is Mal Burns, MAL, one word, BURNS, second word. That's probably the only time you're ever going to come across that because on the interwebs, of course, like everything else, I've been squashed. The interwebs seem to think I'm a sardine of some sort. So, if you follow me on Twitter, you go to twitter.com/MALBURNS, all one word, Mal Burns. Neat, huh?
Mhm.
And we've got an additional feed, which is twitter.com/MetaWorldNews, named after the show, but again squashed. Um, Sometimes there's a lot of stuff there, sometimes there isn't. I've just realised I forgot to even check this week. But
Oh,
anyway, as we go through my headlines, you will actually see on your screens and whatever the links I'm talking about. And if you want to follow them up, the best way to do it is to go to that Twitter account and visit the link in question. That way, it will take you right to the exact page you want to be on. I'm afraid that when I'm broadcasting here, all I've got visible while I'm broadcasting to you is actually the name of the website, for example, rather than the exact page you need to get to. So, that said, I will also introduce my companion here. It's none other than James Outloud. Welcome, James.
oh, thank you, Mal. It's really fun to be here.
I have to ask, whatever happened to 123?
Um, I don't know if you recognize the color, but this is from a popular TV show from Korea on Netflix right now.
Yes. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't recognise the colour, but I was just going to say 456 reminds me of the number of the not scorpion. What is it?
The Squid Game, Squid
Squid Game.
Game.
Yeah, I've finally watched all that, so I've had a binge.
Oh, you
Had a
did?
binge on
Okay,
that
okay. Well,
one
good.
night. Yeah. That was good. That was sort of quite fun. That was
We
sort of
can
quite
talk
fun.
about it for sure.
Yeah, they've
Yep.
obviously left it open a bit for another series if they want to do it. Although
Right, right.
I have no idea what the game is all about. That basically is hugely popular as well. But
Yep.
somebody did note actually in the blogs that the viewership, right, more people have watched Squid Game on release
Hmm.
than um, than by a massive majority more than never watched the Avengers Endgame
Oh, the
because
movie. Okay.
it's not American centric.
Okay.
Korea
Right.
is
True.
huge.
Right.
The figures we read for Marvel blockbusters are all based on America.
Hmm.
And I was also reading a little bit back about the new Apple series. They've released the first three episodes, and I can't make head or tail of it yet, but called Invasion.
Hmm.
And they're making a big play about it's a science fiction story told in real time by various protagonists in various parts of the world,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But it again falls into it's being acclaimed, for being this global view.
Sure.
So how people around the world are fair, like a bit like an Arthur C. Clarke novel in some ways. But again, it's let down by the fact that, well, firstly, one of the incidents takes place in Afghanistan, and no, the American forces are no longer in Afghanistan, so that doesn't play very well, especially as it meant to be set in about a year or two's time. We're not there anymore. But also, um, the American or American dominance places that are featured in the show slowly become and surely become more fixed. There's a bit of
Hmm.
China, there's a bit of London and whatever, but much more. I can see the end scenes taking place in America. It's just the way it's been. They may think they're tilting it to international, but it's just very American centric. But it does seem to be good, I must say. It's a slow paced and rather studied. It's like reading some of the hard science fiction where characterization and characters are more important. So we got 3 hours in, we still have no idea who the aliens are or what's causing these strange events. All we know is how people are reacting, and all the events are a bit different. So it's not like spontaneous fires or spontaneous sinkholes or something. It's interesting. Yeah, so I did a binge on that one to see.
Well,
And
this
then, of
shirt.
course,
Oh,
the other thing, of course, I watched was not Foundation. Oh, I did that too, but Dune, which of course is a movie,
right.
and it's quite long. But I actually felt watching it that it was a TV. It was like an episode of Foundation or something. It didn't have the distinction to me that it was very grand and everything for special effects. It wasn't cheap in any way. It just, maybe it's the pacing or something, but I felt like this is episode 1 of a TV series. And in fact, it is episode 1, but it's a movie, so we're going to have to wait 3 or 4 years for sure till
Right.
if there is a part 2. But it was interesting. I mean, it did feel like a prologue to the greater affairs of stuff. But
well, let me share the designer of this shirt. So the shirt I'm
oh
wearing
gosh,
today. Yeah, this came from Luis's store on Sansar. So with the popularity of the show, I thought, well, what a fun time to give a shout out to a different designer than we've had before.
yeah.
I've not looked at the back of the shirt. I don't think I would suspect it's. Oh, I guess there is a number. The number's repeated on the back also, but just a sports shirt, just a jockey shirt with the branding of the program. So nice to feature another artist. Yep.
Yeah, it's so funny when I saw it. I thought I saw the familiarity, but my first thought was, "Where's 1, 2, 3?" I thought a quip,
Right.
Hang on, well, 4, 5, 6. That's meaningful this week. What was it again?
What was that? Yeah.
Yeah. So here we are. So welcome to Sci-Fi Weekly News.
Right.
Fiction on television, folks.
Yep.
And sometimes it is disguised as something called a metaverse, but that doesn't exist yet, and nobody knows what a metaverse is.
Nobody knows what
apparently the God Emperor thinks he knows.
Yeah.
But he's not specifying. He's just saying he's got it, and it's his. And will forever be his. And I got a glimpse of the future here. Before we do anything else, I've got a picture on the screen. Right, this is from Breakdance, indeed. Break Room, which is the live web version of or enterprise version of Science Space. And there was an interesting chat here during the week. You can see Philip Rosedale here at the bottom left, right, and me actually at the bottom left. But way up on the stage there, buried amongst Adam Frisbee's special effects. The white suit is Hamlet Orr, and to the left of him, as we're looking at the picture, there's no way I can zoom, I'm afraid, but is God, now I forgot his name. Matthew Ball, who was being interviewed for an hour-long session there, and the bunny rabbit is, of course, is Adam of Science Space. So that's the only picture I've got, and oddly enough, I haven't been able to come across any film of it, at least not that's up yet. So I completely forgot to check whether it was being filmed or would have offered to do it myself even, but it's just one of those things. The excitement of getting over there after immediately after another rather interesting voice conference was took my mind off such things as filming, but never mind. So that's just a picture of that, but that was only the picture I had today. But since we are actually what we were talking about, yes, the God Emperor, weren't we? This is a sneak thing. Apparently, we've got time travel, and somebody about 20 years in the future sent back this photo from Facebook World. Look at that! Now, isn't that astonishing? That's how you are going to be living in Facebook World in a few years' time. You won't have to worry about buying things or anything, but notice you do need an electric plug and preferably a pair of goggles. But that's all. That's all you need. So that is apparently in 20 years' time. This is the typical resident of Facebook world. Just thought you'd like to know that. Right, okay.
Rather dystopic, Mal, but okay, all right.
Oh, yes, I had to say, didn't I? Yep. Oh, that's what everybody says. There is a link coming up actually, which talks about that. Um, I tweeted. Well, we'll come to it when we get to it. For now, I'm going to put the pictures away, and well, I was still introducing James, sort of after fashion, wasn't I? As well as showing off his t-shirts, James is filling with knobs behind the scenes, which is allowing him to show you my desktop and these pictures and links and stuff, as well as my avatar from various different angles, and he's fiddling with the audio stuff too, and generally speaking, making himself extremely useful, which means he doesn't talk that much when we get going, which is a shame because he really ought to talk more. He really ought to talk more, I think. Don't you agree, folks? Come on, applaud if you agree with me.
Well, just a second.
Oh, okay. You get off, James. They're not applauding.
Right. Yeah. Here we go.
I thought they were on my side. Okay, let's get on with the show before
who controls the audience, though, right?
Before I embarrass. Okay, folks. I promise. I just get on with the show before I embarrass myself anymore. This is just definitely not quite working out as planned. Right. What is planned is I'm going to start where I always start, which is a week ago, or rather Monday, October 19th. The XR Week Peak is at scarghost.com. True sometimes. Well, sometimes not. Right.
Sometimes not. What? There it goes.
There we go. Oh dear. Couldn't hear the howling for the audience not responding. SKARREDGHOST.com. That is the website. And it's the Skull Ghost, of course. Now, he does a roundup at the beginning of every week of what's been happening the week before. So, in a sense, this is a roundup of not the week we've just ended, but the week before that. But it's always a good place to go on Mondays to round up. Presumably, there will be another one tomorrow, which is rounding up the week that literally finishes today. So, always well worth bookmarking skullghost.com. Just looking down here. The only real big news of the week, I think, is that HTC have launched a headset called Vive Flow. At only, well, I say only, I mean, it's not cheap, but $500 really puts it in what you might call a prosumer price range, rather than the enterprise range that they are used to. Now, at the moment, I think this only works with the Android phone, but it's said to be very lightweight. It is like thick and bulky sunglasses, they say, but for a headset as well. Well, it's not a helmet; it's a bit less than a helmet, isn't it? Really. They have to be plugged into a power source, and they've got backup battery that lasts about 30 seconds while you're swapping plugs. And you can play lightweight VR applications, mirror the screen on your phone, and for example, you can use it as a big virtual screen for watching television or Netflix or whatever you like. Integrated speakers and microphones, support for Bluetooth, headphones as well, and various connectivity. I think this took people a bit by surprise. It's not like while they're higher end devices, but something for 500 US dollars. I mean, that's more than the Quest 2, which is I think $300. Yeah, but they're saying it's a bit of a different market, etc. Yeah. So that one's that. What else? Magic 2 Leap 2 has been teased. That had already been teased last week for us, if not before. It's all happening in the eyewear field. Pimax and Vajra are ready to announce new headsets, and in fact, I think we will find they already have done. by the end of the show, they have them. Remember, this is all back on Monday. Facebook to hire 10,000 people in the EU for the beep, beep, beep first. Oh dear! I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see. The messages getting through. Yeah, it's easy when you're writing. You can just put asterisks, but when you're actually trying to speak it, it's the inverse. Or what I want to say is fart first kind of thing. But okay, first. Yeah, Mark, it's the first. Never mind, I'm getting out of order today, aren't I? Right. Okay. This is old news because of course, also this week they've announced that they're going to rebrand Facebook. It's actually not Facebook they're rebranding; it's Facebook.com, which is the parent company of Facebook. I think that's how it works. But at the moment, the parent company that owns Oculus and all the rest is called Facebook, as is the social network site called Facebook. That site remains Facebook, but the holding company, as it were, is going to have a different name, and people think it's going to be Meta something, or it's going to be a God Emperor, whatever he comes up with, I suppose. Who knows? Anything to get us, there's a daily announcement from that corporation. Basically, whenever I see it, if I tweet it at all, I say, so more distractions, because that company is in so much trouble in Europe, in the States, worldwide. It's almost as though they're inventing something new to do every day to try and keep the news media focused on anything but what's really happening to them behind the scenes. But who knows? I prefer to see more about what's going on behind the scenes. The death knell of Lord Emperor Zuckerberg. Look again. A bloody name all over the place. Right. Tab is back with a wrist placement. Oh yeah, something you wear on your hand and it can touch type text on your mobile for you. Bit of an oddity, that one. Again, that's three different items in three days, more or less. There, trying to keep our eyes away from what's happening on Capitol Hill and what's happening in Europe and what's happening in Britain. Oh yeah, that was the big news. On the very day they announced they were planning to rebrand the company, was the very day, unfortunately, that the British government here fined Facebook £70 million, which is more than that in dollars, if you see what I mean, for, just misbehaving, saying it was doing something and not doing it. Sort of giving up certain practices and revealing certain amounts of information, and apparently they just didn't bother to do it. They wouldn't take it seriously, so it's cost them £70 million. Some people are saying that it's not nearly enough. pocket change, but they are in trouble all over the place anyway. So in the United States particularly, where of course they are based, which makes it a bit more important still. They can stick their nose up at the rest of the world, but I'm not sure they can get away with sticking it up at the American government. Anyway, I'm still on the first bloody link, aren't I? I better put this thing away before I get stuck on it, if you see what I mean. So, moving on to actual news from this week, and the first one comes from Virtual Reality Reporter.com. So that's VIRTUALREALITYREPORTER. I won't be repeating that one for you.
No.
Look it up for yourselves. VirtualRealityReporter.com. And this post is about a company called Echo 3D. It's raised $4 million to grow a developer and marketers. Oh God. Ding-a-ling things beside me here.
Yeah.
Yeah, my iPhone is telling me I've got a show. You're a bit late, mate. I think it's the other one, New World Review, which doesn't actually happen at the moment. So, right. Right, Echo 3D, formerly known as Echo AR. They want to change the way VR content is stored and streamed by reducing the file size for 3D objects used in apps and websites. And they cited. You can imagine this is a kind of warehouse for 3D objects or something that it's like a zip file format, I guess. Where we are, right? An architecture company was using Echo 3D, for example. The original 3D asset file uploaded was 500 megabytes, but by the time you download it, it's reduced to 5 megabytes. That can be easily streamed to a mobile device. So that is a very big reduction. I mean, I presume the resolution could be reduced a bit in terms of surface textures and things because it's on the mobile and not on, elsewhere. But yeah, that sounds like a big compression. Mm-hmm. This is kind of AR 3D models, by the way, so they're probably not as not so much integral texture and stuff as you might get with VR, but not quite sure. Anyway, that was quite big news. It's only another company raising money, but it's all part of an ecosystem that may eventually be producing stuff that is part of the M word. Or the mystery verse. Oh, there we are, the mysterious verse. The mystery verse. Mm-hmm. Okay, now for the sake of this week, I'm going to call it the mystery verse. Well, until I forget in 5 minutes' time. I'm prone to doing that, aren't I? Right, okay. So, as I said, virtualrealityreporter.com for this one. Moving down, now this is the one I was mentioning on the very same day that this came out, October the 19th. I don't think it was deliberately designed to cover up the news in Britain, but it was the same day that the British government announced he's going to have to cough up 70 billion US dollars for messing with us. Right. So they've got their annual Connect conference. That's a joke, isn't it? But nobody wants to connect with me. I wonder why. Sorry. Rebound is likely to position the Blue Facebook app as one of the many products under a parent company overseeing groups like Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus, and more. Spokesman for Facebook declined to comment, but it's clear that's what's happening. He's keeping the name under his whatever he's got, really. Has he got anything to keep anything hidden under?
I don't know.
Stuffed up his arse, no doubt. Right. A possible name could have to do with Horizon, the name of the star-released VR version of Facebook meets robots that the company has been developing for the past few years, etc., etc. Do we want to know about this? Not really. The only important news is he's been fined by the the UK government for being a naughty boy. Yes. Somebody put him over Boris Johnson's lap, and Boris can give him a little spanking. A costly spanking, I think. Right. Move on. Too much fantasizing going on here. All right. 3 new Voices of VR this week. 1010. Right, was the first one. This actually there's sort of 4, but I'll get to that in a minute. 2 immersive design professors on interdisciplinary collaboration and reflections on WebXR. WebXR basically includes all the forms of virtual reality and augmented reality that will actually deploy via the web. In other words, there'll be layers on top of web pages or on the web rather than independent installations on the internet or through other apps. So Kent was the host and moderator for the day, but it also helped him curate a few sessions, including a fireside chat with 2 designers and stuff like that. So this went well. I've forgotten what date this came out on, but it was early in the week anyway. Okay. The site you want for this is voicesofvr.com, voicesofvr.com. But if you look up Voices of VR in Spotify, any podcast app, quite literally, you can subscribe to the show through podcast apps. I think it's available on just about everything. And we will be coming back to that same site. Well, actually, I'm going to jump right down to the positions because I can see them from here anyway. So I'm going to remove that one. This is moving on. We're on number 1011. This is about the E3XR framework for ethics, education, and ed. I don't know what is edu. It's got to be something to do with education, I think. Eudaimonia. Well, ascend to the full
Yeah, it's
education
new to
effectively.
me. Right.
Oh, it's on the pyramid here. It's about ascending to full potential, inclusion, empathy, equity, accessibility, representation, identity, self-regulation, and persistent. So it's at the top of the pyramid with education underneath and ethics right down at the bottom. Um, I don't know that has anything to do with priorities. Yeah. Anyway, you let's go. Better listen to the podcast and find out. Yeah. Um, these two talked about a paper they published in Frontiers of Virtuality, with that same name, of course. And yeah, basically the interview is where you will uh, find out a little bit more about it. Um, he says he gave his own 10-minute primer on XR ethics, but yeah, this is a bit more complex. Anyway, the update is there if you want to. You can play it from the Voices of VR website, in fact, but it's always probably a bit better if you go and get it in a podcast app. So you can get it every week, so to speak, without worrying. Right, we're moving that one and going down the list again. I've got to go a bit further this time by the look of it. Oh, can't find it at all. There is another one. 10,000. Oh, yeah, here we are. It's just underneath. Right. So, 10,012 this time. Decentralized metaverse combining VR and blockchain towards an economy of the imagination with Boost VR's Adam Draper. Don't really know much about Boost VC, let alone Adam Draper. Well, Adam Draper does have a slight ring to it, but I'm not quite sure. Boost VC is a venture capital company, basically, and they have a technology accelerator that's funded over 70 VR companies and 100 crypto companies since 2012. So it's been doing it for 8 years. He's in a unique position to understand how blockchain works, etc., etc., especially in relation to immersive virtual and augmented reality. So, slightly different theme to this one, but as I said, you get a roundup on the site, a little bit about him, but at the end of the day, you want to actually. Well, this could almost be a transcript, couldn't it? But it is here to be listened to, shall we say? So 3 from Kent By this week, and if you never listened to one of Kent By's podcasts, it's captivating. Even the stuff that you may not think is very interesting to you, it often turns out to hijack your listening time. You start listening and think, oh, I'll just have a quick listen to see what it's like, and then 3 hours later, he's still listening. So very good stuff there. So all 3 of those are voicesofvr.com, voicesofvr.com, and available on a podcast carrier near you. All right. Okay, back to the top of my list, as it were. Now, this is wired.com. That would be the American version of Wired if it's .com. wired.com. How to govern the metaverse, the mystery verse, the megaverse, the multi verse. Never mind. All right. To build healthy communities in virtuality, we must move beyond automated penalties toward proactive forms of governance. Games can show us how. This has been and related stuff has been an enduring theme here, actually all week. A lot of people are just refusing to even talk about the M word anymore. They're actually saying, well, whatever it's called and whatever, we've got to discuss things like this and this. And invariably, they come across ethics and governance and all sorts of things like that. And the more they do, the more obvious, transparently obvious it is that Facebook are totally unequipped to be running anything like this. So maybe it's better to focus on the issues rather than the definition of the monkey verse, the mystery verse, the mega, whatever verse. Right. So, games can show us how. Right. Well, I'll give you an idea of what this is about. You can actually read it yourself. Basically, I'd say something like Second Life that's been around nearly 20 years now. While the first were 3D virtual worlds, or whatever. Now, there was always a lot of fuss made about the fact that Second Life was not a game. They didn't deny there were games inside it. Some people built regions that were deliberately role play and deliberately games. But missing the point was that, there was much more to a virtual world than just being a game. It was a meeting place, it was a concert venue, it was a library, it was all sorts of things, anything you could want it could be, basically. So, oh dear. Sorry, I got a notice from Dr. Fran there reminding us that there is a discussion of something an ungodly hour of the morning for me in London. Right, sorry, distracted again, of course. Right, but as I said, these virtual worlds are not games. Augmented reality has little things on your phone and things that probably qualify as games, but the technology, augmented reality itself, is not a game any more than virtual reality is. Right, so it's about building healthy communities and things like that in virtual reality, whether it's a integrated mystery verse. Fran, go away. Sorry. Whether it's an integrated mystery verse or whether it's just standalone. So, but the thing is, the development of technology in computer games ran really in parallel as a similar thing for virtual worlds. In other words, early places 20 years ago, like Second Life, were actually built, with the same sort of technology that was running games platforms at the time, and has progressed that way. Even now, most new virtual world platforms are running, they're built in Unreal Engine or Unity game engines. The end result is not a game, but the engines deployed and everything else is much the same. So games, people who play games, in fact, are much larger than those who just go to virtual worlds as, residents of a world. But you do actually get governance and stuff in, I don't know, World of Warcraft, EVE Online and stuff like that. And the arguments in this article are really along the lines of, if we look to communities in gaming, there are lessons there that maybe show us, just how to govern virtual worlds or groupings of virtual worlds, moving beyond automated penalties. Like in the case of Linden Labs, it was sending you to the cornfield for a few weeks. Which Philip still finds amusing. Right. Okay, so you get the idea, sort of governance issues in general there. So that's at wired.com, wired.com. And moving on, roadtovr.com, popular site here, roadtovr.com. And this is about another headset company or helmet company, whatever you want to call them. Let's have a quick look. I've got to remind myself. Yeah, this is definitely a helmet. They've announced Aero, a high-end headset pared down for smaller businesses and wealthy enthusiasts. So here we go again. Something that probably is a high-end enterprise thing, but it's not their top model. It's slightly cheaper, and the emphasis is on slightly cheaper, with advanced features. Attractive to medium-sized business and wealthy VR enthusiasts. So if you're a gamer or whatever, you need to be quite a rich one. So they do have a review of it. They also have a picture of it there. That one really does seriously look like a Darth Vader helmet or something. Look at it, it's got the, well, not content with the lower bit and the eyes, it's got some major contraptions on top. I was watching a film on television, it might even have been that thing with American combat soldiers in, I guess it was the Afghanistan, and realizing just how much bloody kit they wear.
Oh yeah.
Not their uniforms, but these days they've got cameras on top of the helmet. They've got a camera at the side. They've got microphone sensors. They've got everything everywhere. And if you put some of them have slightly different setups, so you put two of them together and it multiplies the technology available. It kind of makes you wonder why they're even gone there. Why they just didn't send some sort of drone fly or something to do the job. But anyway, this one certainly looks pretty horrifying. I mean, what it has to be about these helmets, it's bad enough that they're helmets. Another thing entirely to make them look like military accessories, which they do here really. Yep. So these are the specs and whatever. And guess what? The specs don't include the price. I wonder why. Actually, here we are: $3,200 through to $5,500. Plus an 800 to 1,500 annual fee.
Mm-hmm.
They say it's no wonder that Varjo counts Fortune 500 companies amongst its clients. But that actually is for some of their regular headsets. So I think the idea here is that the price of this Aero will be more in the region of $2,000 and won't include an annual fee. I think the annual fee is a big saving in itself, by the sound of it. But $2,000. Well, I can see, the people that bought Oculus before it was even on the shelves, kind of thing, will be chasing after all this stuff. They just want bigger, better, more. Whether it would be worth it is any person's guess. But it certainly doesn't look like the sort of thing that would be in the average kid's bedroom anytime soon. So that report is at roadtovr.com, roadtovr.com. Moving down the list, we're back on a site called The Drum. We had something else from them recently. They're more focused on music and stuff. This is another post about music and the mystery verse, the vast sums behind Roblox's virtual festivals. Now, Roblox and Somnia Space are both holding big music festivals right now, I think, this weekend and since Friday. It brings a new meaning to going to a concert and getting legless. It's well, not always, but get the idea. Roblox is making an absolute fortune out of this. Partly, of course, because they've clicked with a demographic anyway. Ahead of a rumoured metaverse-centric rebranding on Facebook, one of the big winners of investment in the space could be Roblox, especially since its focus on music lets it command live events. One of them, Las Vegas Music Festival. I think this is just a general report. There's nothing for me to point out particularly, but I mean, certainly if you're used to music in virtual worlds and stuff, there's some information here. A little bit about NFTs too, which is like this. Musical costume metaverse is a tricky business. The fact that each metaverse space, is currently separate from one another does help ameliorate the issue. Ultimately, somebody believes that lawyers tend to win. And that as long as the music brands receive value from having their artists on the platform, virtual space is the perfect fit for live music, etc., etc. So you'll find this post at thedrum.com, as in bang bang on my drum. Yeah. Bam bam. I'll not mention stones there. Right. THEDRUM.com. Thedrum.com. And moving on from that one. Right. XRA.org. This, of course, is the XRA is the XR Association. That's right. XR and the A is for association. It's a trade association representing the growing ecosystem of companies powering virtual, augmented, and mixed reality. XR announced that they're forming a new independent advisory council, the Future of XR Advisory Council. XRAC, yes. The XRAC will be tasked with defining the XR ecosystem and advising XRA around critical policy and practical considerations surrounding the various back-end computing platforms required to realise growth and maturity of XR. XRA is gathering support and building the council through the end of 2021, and XRAC will begin its work in the first quarter of 2022. What is absolutely magical about that headline and that paragraph announcing it is that they have successfully not mentioned the metaverse anywhere. Look, that
Nope,
word does
nope.
not appear anyway. It's all XR. They're really sticking to the technical definitions or loose definitions at that. Yep, and carrying on down here, I'm scanning quickly in case I can spot the M word, but I think they've got more sense than to even go there. Anyway, it mentions other people. Kathy Hackey, of course, would be familiar on Twitter. She's at conferences all over the place. The other members are not, as far as I know, people that are particularly visible um, around. But there you go. They're from major companies, so Microsoft, University of Maryland, Government Affairs and Public Policy at Google, Futures Alliance Intelligence Group, Extended Reality leader Accenture, and unfortunately somebody called James Hairston who works for Lord Emperor. All right, that's about it. You'll find this one an easy enough site to visit. It's xra.org, O-R-G. And yep, moving on. And we're coming up to more of the regulars now. Forbes.com, Forbes, as if you didn't know. Same picture as the Scargo had earlier in the week. This week in XR, Charlie Fink's roundup, of course, the Quest turns 2, Accenture, I say Accenture like acupuncture, it's Accenture, buys 60,000 for training, whatever, 60,000 off the Quest, that is. So, unfortunately, it does sell quite well. If you buy 60,000 at a time for your company, you know who's cleaning up. Mind you, he needs it for his defence expenses, I suspect. All right. It's announced they're hiring 10,000 more metaverse-related employees in the EU. That's the F book again. Talking about the new name, but nobody knows what it is. The new name will be revealed on October the 28th, according to this, which is about 4 days away, which is their Facebook Connect conference. Right. Yeah, this is all pretty rudimentary. Some of what's here I've covered already. Other stuff is particularly related to the stuff that Charlie follows. Always a fairly interesting read. And there's a couple here which I'm going to come to in a minute. So yeah. Okay, so this is just a written roundup of the best of the week at Forbes from Charlie there. Move that item. Now, this is one of the things he mentions there. This is Dusan Writer again, which is a lot of us remember him from Metanomics in Second Life. Doug Thompson is his real name. This is a snapshot. I don't know if it's fans or somebody anyway photographed Metanomics on. This is Noam Chomsky, the journalist, I guess you call him. And interviewed by Bear Sellers. This is many years ago now. I was searching for the episode. I thought I had it archived, but maybe on one of my discs, one of my archive discs may have died actually. But there is a link to a transcript, and they're pointing out that Noam Chomsky had the. He couldn't sit down or anything else. It was a biggest episode that only Philip Rosedale got a bigger audience amongst all the ones they did. The point is, he's using this as an example, saying he honestly doubted that Noam Chomsky even looked at the world, looked at his avatar, or even the back chat, or at the crowd that was gathered to watch him speak. Whilst millions were living second lives with their avatars, many others couldn't quite figure out the idea of having a virtual representation of themselves, or more practically, they couldn't figure out how to sit down. So, yes, some adventure it was, but they finally got them seated, as you can see there. Anyway. Anyway, this is I can't really explain this because Dusan is taken to what I have to say he's writing essays now, and they're not always. He's talking about evolutions, avatars in the metaverse. how they've evolved and stuff. So that's basically the thread of what he's talking about there. But he goes into the shifting meaning of the avatars, and how in game worlds people refer to them as your toon, and implying a sort of detachment from your avatar. But in open worlds, it was a representation of yourself, which is the exact opposite. So blah 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 blah. And yeah, there's an avatar for you. That's got to be World of Warcraft or something. It's got that feel to it. Yeah, the WoW of avatars. Yeah. Anyway, as you can see, he's written a longish piece here. Um, so well worthy of the read. Good to see he's writing so much and doing so much these days, actually. So this is where it gets complicated. The website, it's Dusan's own website, and it's called Out of Scope Bureau of Bright Ideas.com. Right, so out of scope, OUTOFSCOPE dot. That's the first bit of it. Then you've got Bureau of Bright Ideas, so it's BUREAUTHBRIGHTIDEAS.com. So out of scope dot Bureau of Bright Ideas.com. And much as I admire Dusan Writer, I think he should have done something better for a website name than that one. Because hell, it's going to take a whole show to read it out. Yeah, so, well, at that rate it is. Okay, so moving on. Well worth reading now. Of course, you can just go to twitter.com/Malbones and find the link and click on it, which will take you to the exact page you need. We're back to the Scar Ghost, so about time for James to start howling on my behalf. Hey, he knows how to do it. I can't do that. Oh! Well, maybe I can. I don't know. Right, exclusive hands-on for CREAL Lightfield XR headsets. Well, this is a bit less military looking, but it sure looks. I mean, what is that? Look at it. I mean, it looks like it's got a webcam and a box and a Kinect and some glasses and all sorts of stuff. Can I zoom in? I don't know whether I can here. Let's see if I go. There might be a way of doing this. No, it's not happening. I don't know why the Zoom doesn't work in reading mode. Never mind. Anyway, he was invited by a Swiss company called, I can't think it's cereal, you know, the oats muesli you have in the morning. SRC Real, to try its revolutionary light field technology, where it's able to make immersive reality offered via AR and VR headsets more believable. I don't know whether the headset itself is more believable. I think it's the end product once you're inside it that's supposed to be more believable. And anyway, this is experiences with it. I don't think I've got this anywhere else. Oh.
Hey everyone, from Tony the Scar Ghost.
Yeah, you are. Right, unfortunately this is 25 minutes, so I can't right from here. I shall have to get that and put it in my separate video feed separately. I've missed this one. But although I missed the video, I didn't miss the post, and you can see him talking about all stuff. Oh, right. I don't know what that insect is. I don't think it's an alien. I think it's all of science fiction. But it's demonstrating the focus. Apple's new iPhone and iPad have these kind of cameras where they can automatically switch to between foreground and background, whatever you want to focus on, like you see in the cinema. But it's all done with an AI now, so you don't really have to worry. It works it out for itself if you keep a steady camera on something that's in focus. It focuses it, and as you move, it defocuses it. So it's optional. It doesn't do it for every photo I hasten to add. But yeah, auto magic. Like the movies, so to speak. Okay, yeah, Scar Ghost will tell you all about this, even if you haven't got time to watch. Well, actually, it'd probably take as long to read this article as watch the video anyway. But it's talking about Lightfield, and that is one of the coming the coming trends in headset viewers and glasses and stuff like that. It's a very much a different model than just a couple of screens with dense pixels on or whatever. It's all down to projecting the light field. I think it's where it partly projects directly into your eyes rather than your eyes looking at the thing. But I don't know about these things. All I know is it's awfully exciting, isn't it? Golly gosh, what? Sorry. Right, real world eyesight stereo display. Oh God, you've got enough to keep you going all day here. If and the prototype hands-on, of course, which is the video. I can't get over that helmet because it looks like ordinary glasses with a helmet on top, and yeah. And all I know is that if the American military buys some of these ones, they are not going to go for that colour. They're going to want camouflage colours. That headset is codename Sue. That sounds like a Johnny Cash song, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
A girl, a codename Sue or something. Anyway, I'll leave you to read that, but it's good read and interesting new technologies. So, scarredghost.com, of course, SKARREDGHOST.com. Moving on. Down we go. This is a post at Medium. Right. And let me just check. Yeah, I've only got it down as medium.com, MEDUIM. So to get to this page, you'd really have to get it from my Twitter feed or go to Medium and look up Tony Parisi, who's pretty well known. This basically is a framework for the coming immersive reality. Notice again that Tony is one of the people who's, well, not in the title, but I think he's reluctant to actually refer to the metaverse, but this is obviously an attempt by him, and I very considered, and a lot of people have been sort of agreeing with what he says here, in working out a framework for it all. I'm not a person for rules, but it's useful to have rules because then you know how to break them. Right, these are the rules. I'll come to this in a minute, but there's only one metaverse. Agreed. Metaverse is for everyone. Agreed. Nobody controls the metaverse. Agreed. Bugger off, Mark. The metaverse is open. Agreed. Disappear, Mark. The metaverse is hardware independent. Bye Oculus. I'm not too sure about these last two as actual rules. The metaverse is a network. Well, yeah, of course it is, but that's followed by the metaverse is the internet. Now, I don't know. I mean, presumably anything online will, for a long time at least, rely on the internet backbone, just as the World Wide Web does. And of course, it is a network, but those rules 6 and 7 don't feel to me to have the absolute quality that the first 5 rules do. The 5 rules really like set in stone. Rules 1 to 5. 6 and 7 is more like incidental. They are. It will work as a network. That is certainly for sure. And whether it works on the internet or includes, well, it probably will, but it certainly, it might include other networks like the World Wide Web, whatever. So anyway, but then he goes on to explain them all, and so well worthy of a read. But I'm going to stick with that for now and say this is at medium.com. And make a note of looking up Tony Parisi, although you might not have to, right? Because I'm now going to go down here, and I've got another link here, and this one, oddly enough, I said there was an odyssey this week. This is voicesofvr.com, but it's a Voices of VR without a number. Whether it's 1013 or just an extra with no number, I don't know. But basically, following that post we just saw, Kent Bai got in touch with Tony and he describes it as attempting to rein in some of the more hyperbolic musings about what the metaverse is or could be, and how Sweeney and Epic Games, etc., and God Emperor Zuki have been rabbiting on. And yeah, there we go, repeating the same things again. And okay. HTC presented some of Paris's work in Beijing, and it inspired Ken to track down the original tweets and document them. And then he connected with Parisi this week, and it's he had a chance to talk through and unpack the rules, shall we say, over the course of a 70-minute conversation. So you basically have a Ken Bai interview with Tony for 70 minutes, wherein Ken tries to elaborate on those rules from him. So, yeah, you might be. I don't know. It depends on you. I mean, I would certainly find it easier to jump in actually to the Voices VR site podcast here, and get a grasp on it all from hearing Tony talking, and then maybe go back to like the Medium post for more detailed information that maybe he didn't get to include when he was talking here. But yeah, very, very interesting stuff. It's quite funny because I mentioned at the top of the show where we had a picture of Science Space, or rather Break Room, its offshoot, where Hamlet Orr was actually interviewing Matthew Ball during the week about Matthew Ball, somebody else who over the years has published a lot about not so much rules for the metaverse, but the roadmap type thing. So it's quite funny. In the space of 1 week, we've got Tony Parisi popping up and Matthew Ball popping up with a large amount of interesting reading. By interesting reading, I mean not an advert for the God Emperor's book. No? Everything else these days, since been articles, seems to be almost a disguised PR job. Anyway, great stuff here, and I'm just I know what I'm copying. I'm just going to do a little naughty here because if I can. Oops. As you can see, I'm sticking in a notepad here. Okay, if you actually want to get to it, I've got the Medium article, https medium.com/meta-verses/the 7 rules of the metaverse, and that's all separated by dashes between each word, and then at the end another dash 7D4E06FA864C. You are obviously going to have a easier time if you go to my Twitter feed, aren't you? Sorry about that, folks. Right, moving on.
Interesting to try. Right.
It was interesting to see if I could get it up. Yes, which is it shows you I was really wanted to give you the full address because I think it was worthy. I think it was worthy. Yes. Right. Okay. Another person very familiar on Twitter and elsewhere. In fact, I think I had him on a panel on the Open Sim conference at one point. A chap called Rob Krasko. I think it was a couple of years ago. He rounds up his tweets of the week using a program called Get Review Code. That's GETREVUE.co. And unfortunately, that's the only website address that shows up here. So I can try doing the old. What did I just do? Clip? No, it's copy. I want to copy the old. No, it's not going to happen. Right. In fact, this looks really weird. Basically, this is a roundup of all his, most important tweets of the week, in his opinion, looking at spatial computing, VR movies, you name it. I'm going to quickly switch that to a web view because it's a bit odd looking. Oh, I see. Yeah. You can see what's happened here on the web. It's like an extended Twitter feed with lots of entries. It's probably a better view than the reader view that I normally use here. But it's like I have a similar thing of mine that gets done, and it just posts highlights from my Twitter feed every so often. The only problem is it's some of these take liberties and actually insert recommendations of their own that have absolutely nothing to do with my Twitter feed at all. But that's the price you pay for automated services or artificial intelligences that are dumb as dumb as they get. Anyway, I getreview.co for this, but again, I would suggest you go to my Twitter feed and we just fire the link from there. Or look up Rob Krasko, of course. Where is it? That's his name. Yeah. You can look up that on Twitter. Is worthy of following on Twitter because he publishes all these pieces. Yes, just like me, really. Okay, where we? Oh, I'll put it away already. Right. Okay. Here and under the bickering starts. This is the Daily Mail in the UK here. Dailymail.co.uk. Yeah, so DAILYMAIL. Interesting that the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, has been mocking Facebook's plans for his mysteryverse. I mean, who isn't? Even the other tech giants are mocking him now. I think everybody's getting a bit worried about him. Agreeing with a tweet calling Zuckerberg's plans a dystopian corporate dictatorship. And, well, I refer you to the picture we saw a little bit at the top of the show. Facebook wants the mysteryverse to be a future version of the internet where users use virtual reality and augmented reality devices to enter virtual worlds. Okay, there's not really, I had to tweet this because, anybody who's also a name who then criticizes the God Emperor is worthy of note, don't they? So, yeah. Okay, well, this is really making a point about Jack Dorsey commenting, but the rest of the article is not Jack Dorsey as such. It's the article writes its own explanation of things. The dailymail.co.uk is not the greatest of British newspapers, but there are worse ones. And I actually find it, well, they've obviously got a technology section buried in there or something, but it's not really. I find it odd that is a headline in a mainstream paper like that. So there you go. Moving down, we're on Upload VR, which is sometimes VR download, but not for the moment. Will privacy, free speech, and safety coexist in AR VR? Talk about the laws governing AR VR technology, and they're not necessarily the most exciting subject to most people, at least not compared to the adrenaline racing through the veins of anyone playing okay. Resident Evil 4 on the what I will refer to as OQ2. Right, I think most of you probably know what I'm talking about there. In the coming years, free speech and safety may be on a bit of a collision course as online platforms move from 2D screens and put out into the physical world. A policy analyst from Information Technology and Innovation Foundation recently organised and moderated a conference with the XR Association on policy. It's a lot to take in, but you can check out the 5-hour event in a recorded video. And just to be helpful, I'm going to click on there, and I'm actually going to subscribe to that. It doesn't look. Oh, actually, this browser doesn't know who I am, so never mind. Okay, that looks like. Right, I haven't got my normal right-click menus available here. Of course, I keep forgetting that on the show. I've got a completely different browser running. Okay, so as you can see, it went on for. Oh God! Never mind. I need to get out of here. That was not what I. Come on, where's the back button for? There we are. Only me. Right, I'm back again. Right, I shouldn't click on links when I'm in a master view, should I? Okay. So the article here is. I even more than that face, I despise that picture. It's in a way it is so iconic now. I mean, this is years old since the first Oculus and him presenting it, but he was the only one without one, and this whole hall of zombies have been given one to wear, and they were looking around at each other as, What's his thing? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, this is a conversation about free speech, basically in VR. So quite a lot to take in here. That's yeah, I think that is actually a transcript. I think from one of the interviews, which is only part of
or is that commentary at the end? But who's the author? I didn't see an author on there. It must be Ian, right?
Oh, good point. Good point.
It must be.
Oh, actually, hang on. Yeah, yes, Ian Hamilton. Here he is asking the question.
Okay,
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, and Elise Dick. Yeah. Of course. Well, this is the same site. UploadVR, uploadvr.com. And we'll be getting to it in a second. This is the same site responsible for the VR download site, YouTube, and the Upload VR video of the week. I'll get to it in a minute. I'll tell you for sure. I get confused here. Too much. Too much.
Too many similar things, right?
Yes, exactly. And same themes. And good job I got all this stuff open on screen. So uploadvr.com, and the big issue is privacy. And right, this is the final website news of the week. Big picture, big data. Switzerland unveils virtual reality software of the universe. This is a product. But as much as we have lots of metaverse type things, meta worlds, virtual worlds, spaces, whatever, this has got to be one of the biggest. Really, the biggest. Right. Here we are. How do we get to it from? Hang on a second. What? Sorry, something's gone wrong here.
Why a restaurant?
Why on a big picture? Switzerland unveils virtual reality software of the universe. But I was reading it.
Got an advertisement for Embers restaurant.
Yeah. Yogi Bears, and but I don't. I read the article, so that when I tweeted it. So the question is, whatever happened to the artiody?
I think somebody's somebody's syndicated advertising app is misbehaving.
Somebody has done something bad. But there is a genuine article that you can read. This site says it's recently heard.com. I think this must be one of those sites that picks sort of lots of news and then starts talking about it.
Yeah.
And the actual information about the universe. Okay, well, what I'm going to do, all I can do here, actually, to be honest, is tell you that a company in Switzerland have basically, you can now take a virtual reality journey throughout virtually all the known universe. And you might say, well, we haven't been out there yet, but we do actually have an awful lot of data. The full virtual reality download of the universe, the skeleton information, is, I think, multi-terabytes. So you need a lot of room to download it for full. But there are lightweight versions, so that, you can download a certain set of data that will take you around the near galaxies and stuff like that. It's the ideal thing for VR in a way. Anybody who's into space and stuff like that, forget looking at the night sky, just go up there and sort of light speed around to wherever you want to go. You're not going to be able to, it's not like what's in No Man's Sky where you're going to be able to land on a planet. But visually, you can find out a lot of, you will see planets that are there because we know they're there. We can't take you down to them because nobody's landed on them yet. They're too far away. But we extract the data from like reflected light and sound and all sorts of sensory stuff that tells us about galaxies far, far away. And it doesn't need George Lucas to help. Sorry.
I'm getting hungry for French fries.
I'm I'm
For
allergic to
chips.
that. Well, I don't eat meat, and I find
Oh,
that
okay. That's a big
I
piece of meat there.
I actually find that whole post very offensive. It's like people
Right.
on Facebook and Twitter who sort of keep on posting pictures of
The meals.
their
Yes, yes.
carnivore lunches, you know.
Right, right.
And so to me, it kind of makes me feel ill, quite simply. The only thing that made me feel more ill, and actually I was really tempted to post this week.
Yeah.
Um, you're not going to believe this. Apparently, as if we don't have enough of a problem with cows and bovine anyway. I mean, they're not only do they fart, but they belch, and it all goes up into the ozone and destroys it. So industrialized farming involving cows is not a good idea. But basically, apparently, scientists found a way to convert salt water into fresh drinking water, and it uses cow poop to do it.
Hmm.
And when I read this, I thought, no, you know, I know we may end up eating insect protein and stuff like that, you know, but I have to look at them hopefully. But
Mm-hmm.
that, I thought, I'm going to pass on that one. You know, no way am I going to trust any drinking water that was made from cow poop. But well, uh, so we may have to at some point. Although,
Might be that all we
you know,
have, right?
I don't know how much the cow poop contributes to the emissions side of things, but they don't tend to put this information in the same place at the same time. Anyway, that was the last of the website things. So quickly moving on to my other little feed
Mm.
at mastodon.social/ at Metaworld. Now, before I do anything else here, Mastodon Social, the Mastodon clients are all open source. They were sort of, you know, if you don't like Twitter or commercial companies, Mastodon's that you can make your own servers and everything else. And a certain former president of the United States, well, maybe not, let's say an incumbent of the White House,
So
has
you're
launched.
45. I often refer to this person as 45.
I think he's more like 95 actually.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, I don't know. I don't know his age, but sorry, I
That's
do. I know
for
what.
the 40, the
Yeah,
45th.
I know what
Oh,
you
okay.
mean.
Okay.
Yeah, just I want to avoid trumpeting the name around. Right.
You just did.
Yeah, but in a subtle way.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, he launched his new social network this week, and it's called Truth. God, of all the names.
Mm.
And apparently, he basically he took the open source code that Mastodon distribute, you know, so anybody can actually create their own network. But he didn't read the rules. He just thought it was open source and you just do stuff with it. It's actually licensed, and there are strict terms on the license about what it can be used and not used for. Nobody, this personage's ranch or whatever it is, clearly bothered to read it. They've obviously got some techies working on the code, and they have launched a site called Trump. It doesn't say Mastodon Social on it because you can create your. My feed here is at Mastodon's own social site, but you can create your completely one of your own. The thing is, the code you're running it on, the background database and everything else, is open source, but it's not unrestricted. You have to agree to the license to use it. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that, but I'm very fond of Mastodon because it links to. I've got some, you know, like a Twittery type of accounts. I've got various friends and followers on Mastodon that I've had there for almost as long as I've been on Twitter, I think. It's not as big, it's not as public. I mean, everybody's heard of Twitter, who's heard of Mastodon? But it is open source and it'd be there when all the corporates fall. Okay, I keep my videos here, all the you know, the offshoot videos, so I got them in a separate feed really. The latest one, of course, about 800. Actually, this is about 3 days ago it came up, but for some reason my feeds sometimes keep missing it and I get it a bit late. This is the latest week. Charlie Fink and his partner Ted Schilowitz doing their podcast. and their guest is somebody called Paul Travers. Okay, this is an embedded version of YouTube. So if you go to, if you follow my Twitter link or go to Mastodon.social /@Metaworld, you can play it here like I'm about to do now.
These are high-end humans. Yeah. But it's a massive, economic commitment and strategic commitment to a company to say, we don't only believe in this metaverse concept as a talking point, as something we're going to dabble in. We're going effectively all in on this, and we're going to hire the amount of human resources across the engineering spheres, the research spheres, the deployment spheres to make this real. So I
think they're talking about, who.
Of branding.
I'm trying to find the guest here. Where is he?
Of branding. Forget about that. And then they had to go back to old Coke. And then they had
Okay, let's see if we can find him. Here we are.
It takes a long time to adopt new technologies, and they were forced because of COVID to do things so they could operate. And that's space for Vuzix, from Medacta to Pixie to Medtronic. I mean, the number of...
It's a general roundup, or I'll say that. For some reason, they haven't filled in the bit with the extra information this week. It's just hanging there, including telling me who Paul Travers is. But he is from, I recall from the intro, he's from Vuzix. You can see he's got the logo of the company on his shirt there. And I see it's basically his thing is smart glasses. So he's talking, about his range of smart glasses as opposed to smart glasses in general. You'll find This Week in XR, you can find at YouTube, of course, or just link through from my feed. A day or so ago, we had episode 4 of Between Realities. Their guest was somebody called Z Storm Games. Between Realities is a nice name, but they do tend to be fairly focused now on gaming, even though the title implies it's a straddling the real world and VR. But there's a lot more to VR, and they know it, than gaming. But they do, they're gamers at heart, I guess you could say. Right. Also, earlier in the week, we had there was a session. It was about 10 days ago now, and it never came up, from All Night in Florence in Italy. So it never came up. I actually attended that one. But since then, we've had a All Night from, where is it? I forget where is it. I think it's from LA. Is it All Night? No, it doesn't actually say, but basically they have one of the All Nights in the States, and they were discussing the rise of consumer smart glasses, a bit like Robert Fisk's guest just previously. And I'm not sure exactly who the people on that panel are. I think they're probably local to where they were doing it from, which not very helpful. I think it may have been LA, but I can't be sure of it. It wasn't Silicon Valley, I know that. But anyway, it's a little read there. It's an hour long, and it's got a noisy beginning, as it does. These things do.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead and
awesome.
develop more and more courses as time goes on. I did have the great pleasure to work closely with our AWE Asia team. We just finished the AWE Asia event actually just 2 weeks ago. So while it was
don't worry, it's not the Asian one, but it's talking about them.
So I would love to discuss further with the panel today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. Don't want to hold off anymore.
Okay, largely, it's an hour, 10 minutes. I can't play it, but I'm largely looking at smart glasses as opposed to helmets, which is always a good thing. And finally, our favourite here, really, the VR download, which you find at Upload VR, if you see what I mean. They're very funny about these sort of things. The Upload VR, we saw the website earlier, but Upload VR is also a YouTube account. But this weekly program, which is the beginning part of the week, is their weekly sort of tech chat download. They have another one on Thursday, which is more about gaming and stuff, but this one's more about VR and technology and stuff like that. And yeah, they were talking about the obvious things, new prototypes from the Fastbook, Fireflow, the impressions and everything else. They did come out, I think it was Tuesday this week it came out, so they were a bit ahead of later information that came out in the week. But yeah, I know I actually listened to this one, and unfortunately it's I I can remember the Vive Flow sort of stuff. I can't remember what this. I may have jumped forward a bit on it or something. I can't really remember very clearly, but I imagine you possibly listened to it, James.
I did. Yep. No. And a lot of Vive Flow discussion. Absolutely, very interesting product. And no, not Vive Flow. Really, the Vario was the focus of their discussion. And that was. I mean, it looks like a beautiful headset, but yeah, very expensive. And I think the take that I took away from the review was that it's a nice preview of what the future could be for VR, for consumer VR, but it is just going to be too expensive at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, the eye tracking and so many very cool features.
And I noticed in the press releases they did say as well as going about elaborating on the specs. They did say more stuff coming, including, and they listed a whole load of stuff that was going to be coming to it. So whether that's in a later model or whether that's a software upgrade for the existing hardware or what, I wasn't really very clear.
Yeah, and all to be determined. Really, nobody could really say for sure.
Yeah. Clearly, these guys were pretty excited about it because they. I think one of the reasons I don't remember too much about it is they really did go on at length about that particular sort of range of stuff. So whereas in some shows they cover a wider range of topics. So sort of. I suppose it's the equivalent of. Normally they rock and roll, but this was trance music. Never mind.
Sure, that could work.
Not all shows are the same. Oh dear, can't Jagger still do reggae properly, somebody said. They did at one point, they did a few Stones reggae. Right, okay, and that's it. That is my last clickety-boo. That is my clickety-boo. So yeah, you've just told me what they thought is the rest of it. You've seen what we had. Any thoughts on the masses of it?
No, nothing really. Nothing in particular. I'm sorry I don't have much more to contribute, but just continuing to monitor the track of these technologies, and keep hoping that the whole metaverse thing gets sorted out someday by somebody.
I do read quite a few of these things that are now sort of endlessly regurging what is the metaverse and how do I get into it and blah blah blah. God knows what press releases or people they've been reading up on,
Yeah.
But there are it's more sort of comments and things from Twitter and whatever, sort of saying enough already. And the question being asked really, is this real or is it a fad? Because it's taken on that aura, as it were, of maybe being a fad now, not something serious. Now, we all know that our definition of it is very serious indeed. But if we're going to continue to hear all this rubbish, people who think they can define it and haven't a clue what they're talking about, it probably is going to go. It could easily go the way of a fad. We may get the name back and nobody will want to use it because it was a fad, and we'll have it back to ourselves again,
Right.
But it's. I keep thinking of trying to keep thinking of some other word we could adopt, or somehow sort of
encourage people to use.
Make viral. I did, a few years ago, I kept on tweeting, a long time ago actually, but I was on a Windows machine, and at the end of the day, I would sign off, and I would refer to I would spell Windows WINDOZE.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
My machine was called my Windowser.
Yeah, don't fall
slow and laggy and stuff. And that picked up really quickly. I just came up with that for a while, and I found people would actually be using the same phrase back to me.
Yep.
As far as I know, I came up with it. I never came across it until I suddenly thought, oh, that's what I call it, the Windowser. But it doesn't always take much. If you get enough people to follow you on Twitter and things to say we'll agree informally that we'll start using this other name. But I was sort of going round in my head. I thought, well, one of the real problems with a word like, let's say, metaverse, is that it's a noun. And if it doesn't have an adequate description, and after all, it is almost impossible to describe in a concise form what it will be or it could be, then it's open to be hijacked. And that includes being hijacked by people who absolutely don't have a clue and are actually almost reinventing something to use the word for. No names mentioned, But I wondered if any other name, could it somehow be an adjective or a verb or something that we would know? We by consensus, one would know what it meant, but it wouldn't be very easy to hijack because it wouldn't be as fixed as sort of reinterpreting a noun.
Mm-hmm.
When at the beginning of the internet, but not the World Wide Web, but we saw things like email, and the e prefix, always kind of stood for something there.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody was able to create a universal clearinghouse called email because it came to mean, well, it isn't noun really, isn't it? But I don't know. It was something that you couldn't hijack because it was descriptive of what something was rather than a fixed product. Yahoo Mail, yeah, that's a fixed product, but email per se was, more of an adjective. So I don't know. Metaverse has been very easy to hijack. I mean, actually, you could argue that we've got away for it for about 20 years since Stevenson wrote about it. We nicked it as well, It was just the most appropriate thing. So I don't know. I keep wondering if I could come up with that thing. I think loads of people are holding competitions saying, what can we have instead of the M word, It's not easy. It's got to be something that definitely describes what it is. And I think the emphasis is on descriptive rather than the noun. I don't know. Because everything at the end of the day, it's like an all-embracing sort of thing that you just want it to be the totality, of online experience, really. That's the word. the word. Oh dear, Donald Stevenson. Well, look what you started, mate.
Yeah. I mean, Apple chose I for its devices, right?
Yeah.
So internet phone became iPhone, and they were able to make that stick.
Yeah. True, but not exclusively. Actually, I mean, there are a lot of things on the market that use the Apple I prefix that have nothing to do with Apple. They got to stick with the iPhone, the iPod, the iPad, and the iWare. Sorry, no, they haven't got that far yet. Well, that's what their headset would be called, iWare.
Well, how about the iCar? Where's the iCar?
Yeah, there is one. Well, they've got iOS. No, they've got CarPlay, which is the operating system, not the car itself. Yeah,
right.
A lot of cars come with iOS but Car OS on it. It's like TV OS.
The iCar, the Apple Car would be, that'll be a whole other thing.
I think they may have cut back on some of the research.
I think they have cut back on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they're up against Tesla for one thing, and Tesla's still very expensive, but that's made an impact.
I think they're up against Volkswagen.
Yeah, and Ford and all the all the other all the other companies and the ecological threats and everything else means every car manufacturer wants to move to electric cars, and ultimately smart cars too. It's Apple could lose an awful lot of money trying to break into something that is not their field, but they do have their car operating system, so that's their big thing really. It's it's like an iPad in the car that does everything carish for you. And I could see them leading the way with maybe a glass manufacturer or something to actually make windscreens that are displays and things like that. Whoa!
Whoa!
Oh, are we still on air? Talk to people a second.
We are still on air. Oh, me talk to people. Oh my, yeah.
Hello.
What can I say, people? so woefully unprepared.
Yeah. Okay. Well, somebody rang my bell by mistake by the sound of it.
Oh, that was a building bell?
Hi. He said hi, and then I said hi, and he said hi, and I said hi, and he said, I think I got the wrong flat.
All right.
Pressed another one. Oh dear, I always dread that sort of thing is going to happen, or there's going to be a phone call.
That hasn't happened before, to my remembering of the show.
Yeah, what we don't want is when my fire alarms go off.
Oh no, right.
They are, they are unbearably loud, and there's no way of getting them down. It's all false alarms. There's never been a real fire.
Right.
But they're a nightmare, and you have to run down 5 flights of stairs.
Yep. I did see that the Apple glasses, I think, have been downplayed recently again. They were kind of getting some press for a while. But now that seems to be in the background.
They've been. They made it pretty clear that there will be no products coming until late next year. On that front.
Okay.
So I think people have just got tired about speculating because there's nothing. It's not like the next Steve Jobs. Sorry, not Steve. The Tim Cook appearance is going to be announced.
Nothing to see here, folks. Move along.
They're supposed to be. Scoble seemed to know quite a lot about this.
Yes, that's right.
He didn't dare say too much, but I get the impression that they're going to do some kind of headset thing and some glasses in parallel, and it's likely that the headset will come before the glasses, which would be a shame because I'd actually like to see them. If they were able to bring out glasses, it would be the first with some really smart glasses.
Right.
That distinguish them from the helmet world. And if they want to go bigger and better with the helmet afterwards, then I would do it that way around. But, they're much to say.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So
anyway.
That's it for me. Yep.
Yeah, and...
Not much.
Me too. Yeah, that was. I'm sorry about the interference there with the bell in the background, folks. Such things do occasionally happen. I may be well beyond. I'm higher than British airspace, which discourages a lot of people from climbing up to me.
Right.
But it doesn't discourage people from ringing the wrong bell now and again. So there you go. Right. Okay, well, I think that's it. We will leave you with all the stuff we left you with. We will be back same time, same place next week. So meanwhile, it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from him.
In other words, it's goodbye from both of us. We should just say bye from us also. we two are one, or not quite. No. When it comes to XR, VR, MR, blah, blah, W, we are. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, keep yourselves healthy, folks. Stay indoors, work from home, avoid the plague. It is still with us. Do not forget it is still with us. It is rampaging throughout the UK here. The only person who hasn't noticed is the almighty Boris. Who's the man who's got to decide whether we take any notice of it or not? Something wrong about that. statement, isn't there? Anyway, keep safe, everybody. That's all I can say, and we will see you again next week. And don't forget, if you go to my account on, well, you can check the links at twitter.com/malburns, or one word, or you can check the videos and stuff, including this show, on Mal Burns, 2 separate words, oddly enough, at YouTube. Yes, I don't get squashed at YouTube. Isn't that fascinating? Yeah, the great unsquashed me at YouTube. Anyway, enough of that. We will see you next week, and as I say, stay safe until then. Bye for now. Yahoo! You're on. Yay, 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 yes. Yay, 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 yay.